We're going
Yeah.
to hold the Dean and Peterson over to the board.
Okay, we may modify that.
No, we're kind of...
Last night. Oh, that must be my nephews you're talking about. Oh, those are your nephews. Oh, I thought it was your son.
Yeah.
I guess we're ready. Okay, it's Tuesday, January 6th, 3:25. We call the business committee meeting of the Ogdensburg Bridge and Port Authority to order. Wade, I'll turn the agenda over to you and we'll get started.
Thanks, Jim. I'd like to direct your attention to page 2 of the packet. It's a sale of surplus property. We did have one bid on the Ford F-250 pickup. The amount was $350. Based on that, we recommend that you approve that and dispose of that asset.
So it's still nothing on the tax loader, there were no bids on the loader?
There wasn't any.
So that's the second time there's been no bids on that?
So we can hold till springtime and revisit that.
Okay. I have no problem with
Okay, so we'll move that to the board. Page 4 is approval of purchase with Conviber. This is for a belt. This is for the belt that we talked about last time, for the conveyor belt. Specifically, we were faced with the prospect of having a ship in, the conveyor upgraded, and no belt. So as a result, what we did is we went out and purchased a $19,000 belt that you see there before you. We did waive the competition rules. As the vessel was scheduled to be in port, it's a specialized piece of equipment. Conviber had been the low bidder on the original upgrade project. Not available through the marketplace. This belt's a specialty item.
Just two items on that. This is obvious for the DDG unloading, right?
Yes, what had come about, Jim, was we upgraded, like Wade said,
We actually budgeted. So the upgrades, they paid half, we paid half.
Right.
But we budgeted like $50,000 for that, right? We spent $38,000. Did we budget 50 or was it budgeted 50 total?
We budgeted 50 or 40 total to be split in two. I want to say it was 40.
That was higher than
Was that one go check?
That was 50. Well,
50 at the most. I would like you to check if you don't mind. I got it right on my desk there, Jim.
Okay.
Check it out. So, to make a long story short, I made the call to purchase this as it was needed, time sensitive, so on and so forth. It wasn't cheap. Needed to be done.
But really, if we had 50, we really only spent we had 10 left over from the original estimate, so we're only about 9,000 over on budget. Yeah, what we budgeted for the entire place, yeah. And it was used already.
No, it wasn't.
It was not
The
used.
ship never came in.
It never came in.
But we were faced with, when Conviber came and did the upgrade, they suggested, because the belt had been replaced 3 times, it was tracking, they said it'd be something you should look at. So, not thinking that everything was done, that the motors that were put in and we wouldn't be using them, then we had the prospect with Drummond's. Drummond's at the last week of the Seaway was thinking of moving all their DGGs. They had 2,950 tons, and they were thinking of finding a vessel. So they called us and said, we're trying to line up something for the following weekend. So with that, what I plan on doing, Jim, was just get pricing for the belting through the winter time and get it, take our time. And for that, I just couldn't risk having a boat in there, not knowing the motors and everything, what kind of stress it would put on it. Should the belt go, we're stuck with it. So, like Wade said, we're kind of, our hand was forced, and then come to find out they couldn't locate or make all the arrangements to get that stuff moving, and so it's upgraded, but we never had a chance to use it.
But the 2,950 tons that are here for Drummond's, did that come in by ship or did that come in by rail?
rail. That came in by rail. So that may go out in the springtime.
But the plan was, I think, is everything going to come in by rail with them and then out by?
Yeah, the plan initially was in by rail, out by ship. And it was 6,000 tons to start out with.
Yes.
And they weren't able to because of the GMO issue, export like they wanted to. So half of it was sold locally. The other half they now want to hold until spring. They may add to it. They may, use half of a vessel and just load that 2,900 tons of the spring is what they're saying now.
Yeah. The belts are same width, same thickness and everything?
Yes.
So we can take the whole belt and use it for spices if we ever need it?
No.
No.
We've got enough in there that we could splice it. And we've got enough there that if it just were to break in half, you could just change all the center points of the motors where you can get. But we do have 10 extra feet.
So you do have spices?
Yeah, but if it was tore up that bad, then we'd have to look at that.
Yeah. How was the belt that you took off?
It was the original belt. It's been spliced 3 times.
77?
77.
Oh, that's not bad yet.
No.
You're right, 50,000.
50 was the number. So really, I mean, on budget you have about 9,000 then.
But the reason we bring this up, it is I don't want to say circumventing. It is using the exception to the normal way that we procure things here. But it's under policy, there are some specific exceptions.
Well, under this one, I think it probably warranted it. It was probably a good decision. And it certainly will get used, so. We can take that to the full board.
Okay.
You might get some static there, but, I mean, it's basically done, so.
Absolutely. Apologize, I just need to shut my phone out there. The supplemental agreement discussion with Greenland Peterson, we're going to hold that full board. That's okay. And
Well, I would suggest full board executive session.
yes. That brings us to, let's actually jump to item 2B over on page. Sounds about right.
No,
Page 29. Change order with Collins Hammond. So the decrease is 7185.
There's two facilities. Is it page 29 here?
Yeah.
It's for the airfield electric building and beacon project. You can see the details of the change order here. Change in quantities of cabling. Utility allows for National Grid, and a change of scope to work. Steve, is there anything you wanted to add to that?
No, I think that sums up, everything there on the airfield beacon.
Pretty self-explanatory.
So the entire project came in under his budget.
Yes.
And then what happens to the leftover monies? You keep them or
Those you can,
return them. Return them.
It would be a case by case if something goes up here.
The FAA is just like every other economic agency recently. They're having economic issues with other agencies recently. They want their money back. Very difficult to try to amend that. Almost impossible to amend that for future work. Thank you, so to say.
Okay, so moved.
Move that to the full board, page 28 of the packet. This is the approval of design drawing for the rehabilitation and expansion of the general aviation apron project. Specifically, if the committee so agrees, after a presentation by Jim Morrissey from CNS Engineers, move that to the full board for approval. And I guess at this time I'd like to introduce Jim Morrissey from CNS Engineers. Jim.
You become a common fixture up here, Jim.
This over here. A little bit better.
Sweet.
I passed on the agenda. Let's go right to number 2, GA apron expansion and rehabilitation. moving along. CNS is engaged with the contract, Vision Port Authority for design services. And what this drawing shows is, if you're familiar with the GA side, as we call it now, this is right along Route 812. The fuel farm, the ARC building, the new electric building you just spoke about, existing T hangar. What we're going to be doing is expanding this apron to this area that's in white, shown by that boundary. It's approximately 100,000 square feet. The reason we're doing that is the existing parking apron was on this side. This is the old foundation for the hangar that's now been demolished. This parking area is within the runway protection zone. And we talked about that before. If it does not want that pavement used anymore, you need to move that. It's consistent with the airport layout plan we put together back in the mid-90s. So what we're doing is we're adding this pavement. This is the new hangar under construction. And our plan is to provide the tie downs that used to be located over here. We moved to this location and this location. We're planning on bidding this as a base bid that would include 66,000 square feet of added apron pavement, and then an add-on of 33,000 square feet. The base bid would include 6 tie downs, 2 for larger aircraft. This is for the conventional single engine, smaller wingspan, 2 larger ones. And the 33,000 square feet for the add-on will include 6 additional parking spaces for the smaller aircraft. The project also includes rehabilitation, that's the single line through here, rehabilitation, mill and overlay of the existing taxiway to a point where the project was terminated for the runway rehabilitation nearly 8-9 years ago. We'll tie into that, mill and overlay this, all of this pavement, over to the edge of where the T-hanger pavement is. We'll remove this pavement. This is, again, next to the foundation. First, we'll remove the old foundation left from the hangar. We'll take this pavement out. It will be turned over to turf. We'll leave this pavement for areas for the maintenance folks to push the snow. This pavement right here. But we'll no longer be able to park aircraft there. We're also going to rehabilitate the entrance coming in off 812. There's been enough pavement cuts, utility cuts through there. It's time to replace that entirely, so we're reconstructing that. New edge lights along the edge here, red lights, stripes, edge lights along the apron, tying into the hangar under construction. And we also have 2 new signs we're placing at the request of the FAA on the other side where the commercial area is, directing to GA to this direction. Terminal building to the other direction. There's a sign there now, but they would like to see it moved to a new location. Another request by the FAA, it's actually a mandated situation by the FAA is to put in taxiway enhanced sign markings, a requirement for Part 139 certificated airports. Basically what that is some additional markings coming from the whole line. So with the pilot, they're approaching the whole line. This is essentially a stop sign. So we'll be doing that on this project. And the estimate we have right now for about 90% complete is $850,000 for the base bid. The base bid includes the $66,000 apron expansion, plus the rehabilitation, plus the removal, all the lighting, all the signs. The add-on is this piece right here, 33,000 square feet. $850,000 is our estimate, and that's pretty close to what we expected the project to be, and that's what the FAA is expecting for this project once the bids are received.
That's still 95, 2.5%.
That's correct. 95% federal aviation, 2.5% state, 2.5% local.
855 is the base bid, is what you're thinking?
850 is the base bid.
Okay. What's your alternate?
The alternate is 200. Now, when the alternate bid comes in, we receive the bids, obviously, Vision Port Authority, we would strongly encourage you, first of all, the bids will be received on January 27th. That's a requirement that the FAA is developed or established. Any bids received after that, they will not be in position to offer a grant to the FAA. And this was some new information that came to the sponsors not very long ago. It's about 2 months ago. They established this criteria. Last year, the requirement was to have bids for the FAA program in June, and we were anticipating that to be the same this year, but they moved it up. So,
realistically, we're going to have a full board meeting sometime between the 27th of January and 30th of January to be able to approve this once it's all set.
The FAA will ask for the response from the sponsor, from the result of the bids. They will ask for a letter sent to them what they would like to do with the result. First of all, are the bids reasonable? And we would help you with that decision. Second of all, what is the bid for the base bid? What is the bid for the add-on? And obviously, the Bridge Report Authority will have to make a decision. Do you wish to request additional funds for the add-on pavement or not? So we're setting that up to give you the latitude of making that decision. Again, trying to match, or matching, I should say, the original budget for the project. We're bidding it, obviously, at the best time of the year. Contractors are anxious to look for work for next year. I've heard there's not a lot of work right now out for bidding. So, and there are 2 or 3 general contractors in the area that are really very experienced with this kind of work. So bids are planned January 27th. Bids are received here. CNS is distributing plans, plan holders, and we'll be having a pre-bid meeting, coordinated that with Terry Bunn. But as Wade said, there'll be a very quick request to turn around from the FAA bid results. So we will do on the 27th, receive the bids, take them back, analyze them, prepare a bid tabulation, and then be in consultation with Wade as far as how we feel that the bid result appears to us.
What was the FAA deadline?
January 27th, 2009, last day of receiving bids.
Oh, just receiving bids.
Bids.
Okay. And then is there a date that everything's got to be submitted to them?
Yeah, it's February 6th. I think it's February 6th, I believe.
Very
That's the last day that they can make an offer back to, a grant offer to sponsors. And they're under a lot of pressure. This isn't the only job that will be bid January 27th.
And that's all work for the 2009 calendar year?
No, to back up, they have, last year was similar to this. Bids came in, bids were due in June, and then there was a second program in August. This year, it's moved way up to January. They call that Part A. There's no indication right now there will be a Part B program. However, a lot of sponsors and staff are getting ready for a Part B, getting projects ready in case there is. So it's a very strange situation from a Federal Aviation Administration, as I reported to you last year.
Yeah, you're being kind. What they're doing here, they're playing games with the funding and moving it up, so you either put in for Part A and have your project ready to go, or if you don't make that, there may or may not be a Part B. So it's, a little bit of a gamble here, but in our case, I mean, we're in pretty good footing because we've got a good project that's ready to go.
You were in good position because you had a design agreement. We had a design agreement with you in 2008, so we are ready to meet that FAA schedule, a crazy schedule. But a lot of sponsors are not. So what they have to do is they'll be rolling their money over to 2010, and some sponsors will have no projects this year. That's the position they're in. You can roll the dice as a sponsor. Wade and I talked about this. You can anticipate a Part B program, but if there is no Part B, essentially the FAA is telling the sponsors you then lose your funding. So none of the sponsors we work with are taking that position to anticipate a Part B, put the money on the table, and if there isn't a Part B program, you lose it, they sweep it away.
If there is a Part B program, do we have a project in the hopper?
The Part B? I don't think we do.
Well, a couple things. Part B could be the add-on. Steve and I talked about that. It could be part of the stimulus package too, if you wish to. From my perspective, I guess I'm kind of going back over years of working with this group and Wade and predecessors. You've bitten off a lot of work going on this past few years. Demolition
of the hangar, construction of the new hangar, this project. You have a fencing project too that we'll talk about in a minute, but there is no local share for that. I do not have any project, any suggestion to you as far as what may fit a Part B, only because you got a pretty significant project right here that you're responsible for. Well, let's just say if it's $1 million, you're responsible for $25,000. So, again, my reaction to the board has been, well, kind of, wait a minute here, Jim, let's not, there's in CNS, let's not go crazy with the program here. We have an appetite of a certain amount of money we can devote to the airport. The airport is not a money maker for you, I understand that. But, so right now, this is the plan for 2009, Jim. And it's a big plan. It's a big plan.
You look back, under your chairmanship here of the Facilities Committee, we've basically rebuilt that airport over the last 4 years. Everything from the new passenger terminal, to what you see here today. So I don't want to say we're out of things. We can always dream something else. But
what do we got for stimulus package programs other than the bridge?
Bridge is the main one we're focusing on now. We've got a couple other things that are in the hopper with DOT that I'm aware of that are also on the stimulus list.
But the bridge did get on the did it get on the list submitted by the governor?
I'm told that it has, yes.
Steve, I interrupted you.
No, I was just going to ask Jim on the CIP. I think this, just to put a scope, when we did the access road just to the terminal before the terminal was in, that was $1 million, and that was basically, Jim, from like end of May right through to October. And I'm just saying, with the kind of dollars involved here, I would say that would take up most of our construction.
Well, this is a little different plan, Steve. This is an active part of the airfield. The other area was not. Right. It was dormant. So this one moving along, this will be a 75 calendar day project. So it'll be 2.5 months. Nice thing about this, it's isolated. We can build all the new and leave all the operations on the old, and we can switch over onto the new pavement and then rehab the old. We've got a piece in here we have to do in a couple of consecutive days, and then the enhancement, similar markings and signs. So I can tell you one thing, though, the kind of project we have here, this expansion is very similar to the pavement that was rehabilitated over at the commercial side. The soils are not very good there. So if it's a wet summer, have difficulty in establishing a platform to build the pavement on, it could delay the project. I hope it doesn't. We had that situation for a few days on the commercial side.
Is there a number of unit price in there for over?
Yes.
Similar to what we have before?
Yes. Okay. Just to answer your question, Jim, a couple of projects we have that were not funded this year: obstruction evaluation, approach survey for under 927. That's over the cemetery. There's a fairly significant environmental task to go through all of that. That could be a candidate for Plan B to move that project. There was an airport layout plan update, and then a design for rehabilitation of the taxiways. To me, that's low on the list. The taxiways are in pretty good shape. They're beginning to show some distress, but and then there was the PAPI replacement. We should mention this. This project, our design agreement includes the visual approach slope indicator replacement with a precision approach slope replacement. We combined two projects for the economy of getting it all done in one design. The FAA said that they don't have the money for doing the precision approach slope and this project. So that's going to be pushed aside. That could be a plan that could be a good project for Plan B if it comes forth. We've actually started the design on that. However, there's two components to that. One is the actual nav aid itself connecting to the old wires, direct buried wires, and we would suggest that be the base bid and the add-on be the home run cable and conduit. So good candidate project if you wish to proceed up with that, but that's, I think, for another day other than where we are today.
When do you think you'll know if there's going to be the Part B program?
I wish I had an answer. I can tell you it has to be before August because that's when all the bids at the remaining part of the year are required. So I would say up to late July, early August. anytime between February to August.
For this one, you said you only had 2 months really to prepare to get bids out and back.
Well, we had a design agreement. We had taken the subsurface work last fall. We were anticipating to bid this project a little later on than we are today. We like the time to bid now, but we didn't really think we'd be doing it this part of the year. We were anticipating February, March. So we did the preparatory work, and so we're in a good position. Again, I say a lot of other sponsors are not in a good position. So what that means to me is, and to CNS is, there is likely to be some surplus of funds because the sponsors couldn't get ready for January 27th. Therefore, it may force Plan B to distribute the funds. That's what CNS thinks. So that's an overview of the tie-down area and that. Here's a grading plan. Again, the shading shows the new pavement. We got some new drainage systems to put in, tying into some old systems. We do need to build a detention area, stormwater detention area here. Because we're expanding pavement, the stormwater requirements today are to not only deal with water quantity, but water quality. The system is designed, because we're draining directly into storm sewers and it crosses and goes off your property, this system would actually be designed to back up during a low-frequency storm, 5, 10, 50-year storm, would back up into the pipe system, fill this area, and then recede as soon as the storm subsides. Short term, I wouldn't call it a pond. We don't like to actually use the word ponds on airports, but it would be a short time frame when the water would be retained, and then it would drain out. This would be an area that's mown. 1 on 6 slopes, so you can go in and mow it. Nothing aggressive. When you receive a very low frequency storm, that's when this would be called a pond service.
Would the one issue, it won't be wet most of the year?
No, it will drain out. It will drain out through the center of it. Got a very small piece of that right here too, between the gravel road to your structure. A very small piece here. We need to get the volume of water. That's what this is. The requirement is. We're able to do that through the backwater of stormwater only during these very infrequent storms. That's in order to get the DEC to support the project through the stormwater pollution prevention plan.
So that water there, that doesn't soak down, is that the plan?
No, water basically is, this is all pavement. Water is captured into either an inlet right here, or a catch basin, or drop inlet we call it, or a new drop inlet, or drop inlet. This is all piped. Really, the water lands on this pavement will go into the pipe and will leave the site. It's actually drained into a bowl.
And where does that water go to?
It crosses the road and goes out and empties right into the Oswegatchie around the perimeter of the cemetery. Now, off your property.
It's interesting you say that, because I was watching a documentary just a while back, and one of the issues that we have in our society is the more blacktop we have, the more pollutants and runoffs that we have. It becomes a major problem in major cities, whatever. Obviously, in this area, we're not talking huge area, but is that an issue?
Yeah.
Where it goes?
That's exactly what the DEC is requiring this project.
Okay.
It's not only water. We really can't discharge. We should not discharge any more post-construction drainage that occurred pre-construction. That's the requirement. Unless we can document that it has no impact downstream. Generally, we don't feel there is any impact downstream, and we'll be talking with the DEC about reducing or possibly eliminating this. But for the purpose of the design and bidding, we have a unit cost project. We feel this is the safest way to do it. Job will start sometime in May or June. We'll have time to this would be I guess you'd say the worst case requirement. This would be the standard requirement because we're so close to the Oswegatchie. Some on this side of the table may say, why do you have to do it? Some on this side of the table would say, yeah, let's follow the regulations even though we're that close to the Oswegatchie River. So you're right, it's the pollutants off of the parked aircraft, a little bit of oil, a little bit of fuel. We have to capture that first flush. This would go back into a system and then back out. Okay?
Jim, just very briefly, is there anything you want to say relative to the security fence or the hangar construction?
Very briefly. The This is a project you received a grant for, $736,000, and it includes fencing. We brought fencing along 812, replaced that with 8-foot high, 3-strand barbed wire. We're going to connect it where we left off. The fence now actually goes along the property line and makes these irregular jogs, like this. Okay? This area, we would suggest that the Bridge and Port Authority consider on this property to straighten that fence line out, but it would then not be on your property. We would suggest the Bridge and Port Authority consider one of three things to occur in order to straighten that fence line out that would look like your property goes around like this.
Yep. I need to kind of stop you here. We've got precedent on this issue too.
Yeah. I think we talked on this briefly before in March, but we'll be talking to you in the future about that for some options. That has kind of held the job up from our perspective. We'd like to talk to you in the future on that. So, but nothing is actually holding that up. You got the grant, and there's ready to move it forward. Quick update too on the hangar construction. This project right here. The foundations are complete. If you've been out there or if you've talked to anybody, the steel delivery is planned to resume. Steel delivery is planned and work is planned to resume January 19th. Danco is the general contractor. Substantial completion is estimated on or about June 15th, and the project's on budget. Okay, any questions?
Jim, thank you for clarifying.
Okay, all right.
And a good presentation. Yeah. Any other questions from the committee at all? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Thanks, Wade. Thank you. Do I need to be part of the top meeting, or is this,
Jim, I guess I defer if you would be happy to stay. Could you on that as committee chair? Do we need to have him here for the 4 o'clock or?
Well, if we put them on top of the agenda,
you do that, take it out of order or something. I just wondered if any other board members had questions as well. He explains it better than I can.
the first time just do filing a dissertation on specifically that project.
You're here, so if you don't mind, why don't we put you under the presentation of the board? You get 5 minutes, walk through the particular item, and that way you're
Just the road expansion.
Yeah, yes, sir. That's great. The last issue I have, I just want to bring to the committee's attention, and I apologize for the size of the diagram. I don't have decent diagrams of this, but there is a parcel of land that OBPA owns. It's a 39-acre parcel. To orient you, this is Norwood Norfolk Central School. There's a 39-acre parcel that's landlocked. There's a proposal that's being put forth by lead agency being Norwood Norfolk School, the St. Lawrence County, BOCES, Village of Norwood. Who am I missing? Our active partners in this looking for a shared service grant. What they're proposing is plunging a access road down through the school on one side, accessing this land across the tracks, and would like to know if the Bridge and Port Authority would consider being a partner in this. Our involvement at this point is just strictly the land, and as you can see by the colored areas, there are wetlands there. That's the same background here, Sam. There are wetlands there in some portion of it. Everything's at the preliminary stages at this point. Primarily what I'm looking for, I'm just looking to see is there any objection if we pursue this.
That's the railroad from Norfolk to North Garage is down in here. South Garage is here.
The trail's over there.
So this is Barrett's over here. No, Barrett's over here.
They just want to move through there, right? Is this it? What they want to do is, this is a school. This is their cross-country.
Yep.
Cross-country. There's the rail line. Our parcel is this irregular shape there.
That piece right there.
They want to plunge the road back through there and see about carving out a portion of that lot for this shared service facility.
Are you saying they have a right of way to come in there now?
No, they do not.
But that's what they want.
That's what they'd like, yes.
The school district wants to develop their parcel?
Yeah, the school district, the village, and the county, and BOCES are looking to share services and put a shared maintenance facility on that 12-acre parcel.
And they want to know if we want to...
They want to know if we would support them in their efforts to do that.
Financially?
Primarily, they're looking for what our position is. They haven't asked for dollars specifically on this.
I would say if they would give us an easement across your proposed access drive to access that parcel.
That would make a lot of sense. I just want to bring that to your attention and see if there's any thoughts out there one way or the other.
Do they have a timetable for a decision, Lee?
They are submitting a grant application, I think, the January or February 17th?
I think it's January.
But right now they're just asking for our...
This fits in the same category as what we did with the joint water system for the airport. It's all exploratory at this point. There's no obligation if nothing happens. There's still an intermunicipal agreement that needs to be negotiated between all the parties, but that's what's on the table at this point.
Fuel facility site going to be strictly on the central school on the Norfolk property, or is it going to spill over to our property?
I would advocate that we retain ownership of that property. So it's a 39-acre parcel. But again, that would be...
Well, I guess it's maybe an absolute confusion.
We own the...
Like Norfolk owns this piece.
No, we own the entire red shaded area.
Yeah.
They're proposing that 12-acre parcel.
Initially, the
other part, of course. Yes.
the line up there.
How do we ever get ownership of that?
Came to us via the railroad years ago. We own a couple of, for lack of a better term, oddball pieces of property like that along the line.
That's better than that.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry for not being here during the meeting, but I was kind of briefed a little bit about that because I had some other stuff. But I'd like to make sure that we don't miss the view of that property that we got there is landlocked, as you know. And on the view side, if we do something with these folks, that once we open that property up, that we also put in there, we gain the rights to the access rights.
That was my first comment. I guess I was under the impression. I'm sorry, I was just going to district on this and we own that, but...
No, we own the entire building together.
So we do open it up, then we get...
Yeah, as long as we have it.
I probably was already talked about, but I just want to... I'm sorry, apologize.
So they just need letter of support?
They're looking for a letter of support at this point.
And they need to pass a resolution for that?
No, we are not. It's the same thing as the shared service agreement, or the joint water system agreement. We don't qualify as one of the municipalities for that, but we do have, in this case, something to bring to the table for discussion.
Now, do they need a commitment on the property, though, as to who retains ownership for that?
No, at this point, just a letter of intent from us will be sufficient. It seems to be a good project. There doesn't appears to be a win-win. It's a landlocked piece of property that we want.
Do we know how much land they would need for their facility?
Just from a numbers perspective, the county's asking for 2 acres. The Norfolk is looking for 6 for a total of 8. Yet where that property line is drawn there, potentially you see 12 within that boundary. But that's still up in the air. Who would own it and all that other kind of good stuff. We'll address that.
I'm kind of confused a little bit because they want to use the land. Is that what you're saying? They want to use the land for what they want to do?
Well, I mean, part of this is negotiation. In some cases, they would want to give it to them. Obviously, that doesn't make sense. In other cases, they want to share it. But this right now is basically just a shared services grant that they're pursuing to see if it's possible.
Okay. There's
nothing, everything is still...
No finding, okay, that's what I'm... Okay,
Exactly.
Some
of those issues still...
where we can go with it, okay.
Because, well, case in point, for example, if you drew that line at the property line, it wouldn't necessarily make sense for OBPA to transfer 12 acres of land and then keep everything else at the wetland. I mean, that wouldn't make sense.
Thanks for the swamp. Okay.
So total acreage is maybe 30 plus acres?
That's 39.9 acre parcel.
Okay.
Well, there's a lot to discuss there, seeing how we own the property.
Yeah.
And we're not really going to use it.
Do we have a St. Louis County map? Or do we have those other...
I do. I have individual tax maps upstairs that show exactly, what's where for surplus property. There's one other piece of property over there that, over in that area that we should, I guess I'm getting ahead of myself, but at some point we should look at it
and see what...
Say, is it excess? If it is, then, dispose of it and get it back on the tax rolls, or conversely, keep it for rainy day and use it for another project that comes along.
Looks for a long range, whatever. Sure.
Exactly. That's all I had relative to the facilities committee.
We're done here?
Well, I'm just thinking, so the plan is you want to do a letter of support for the project?
Yes.
So we conceptually... There's a lot of lines for questions there.
Absolutely.
But you're saying it's not a letter of commitment, it's just a letter of go ahead and investigate.
Well, supporting the grant application, I guess, but I don't know what wording they're looking for.
Yeah. That's the key part.
Can you tell us what the wording is, or can we see the letter before it goes, or
I can. I could circulate the letter. I don't have anything done up or anything on this at all. No. We just had this meeting with them kind of late in the planning process. Our primary site fell through. We met with them Wednesday last week.
So is there a grant application?
Shared services, there's two of them. There's a planning and an implementation grant. The planning grant is the 17th. I don't recall when the other grant is at the same time. Really? Okay.
They have that draft letter of support, right?
They had draft resolutions that they were sending out to the county, but that's not relevant to us because we don't need to provide the resolution of support.
Let me ask a question. Are they asking for us to turn the property over to them?
No, short answer. Ideally, they would like it. But again, after seeing that map today, I just got that map today, after seeing the configuration of that parcel, there's not 40 acres of developable land there. So we would be foolish to give away 12. So, but this is the type of stuff that needs to be negotiated and worked out through this intermunicipal agreement.
Initially, they were asking for the whole 39 acres, and then it was 6 acres.
But then all over the map,
yeah.
So we're going to decide some or all, or none.
So the school district, town of Norfolk, and St. Lawrence County would all use the facility?
Yes, and BOCES.
It's initiated by the school district because they have an issue with fuel storage and they need to build a new fuel storage area. And they also have a need for salt storage. And the county's looking for a better, and the state's involved as well.
Oh, that's right, DOT was
also looking for
laydown area.
More centralized area for salt storage.
And you got two biggest potential groundwater contaminants you can have is fuel and salt. I'm not sure you want it sitting on your property. I'm not saying that we don't want to not support the project, but I don't know if you want to retain it.
There's a lot of things that need to be investigated there.
Yeah, because of that much wetland, you may not be able to do anything with it. maybe just percentage-wise, just say that land is done.
That could be the 1985 boundaries too of the wetlands. I mean, you survey them today, it could be like on our properties over here, you survey them today, they're massively different.
The county provided that for you?
No, that came from Matt Cooper at Living Car. Yes.
I think that, you know, I guess they should have been in here when this thing was going around. Are they looking for us to give them a commitment to the property, or what?
No, just a letter of support for them pursuing the grant. That's it. There's no obligation on our part.
We give them a letter of support to support. They're never going to use this as part of the grant.
They would use it in their
So
grant.
if they get the grant application, then the property goes with the grant.
No, it doesn't tie us in at all. There's still an intermunicipal agreement that needs to be
If
made.
we own the land and they put the facility, or whatever they're going to do on our land and still...
I don't think we want to be involved.
Well,
We can retain ownership.
money be made somewhere. I'm not saying that's true or not, but I'm just saying, so that could be the configuration also.
You provided a letter of support and indicated to them that, yes, we're the landowners, and yes, we would be willing to transfer.
The land.
Not transfer. I want to word it. After I saw that wetland map today, I would not advocate transferring it all because we would get stuck with the swamp.
That's the impression that they're giving them.
So, but I'm not an advocate of keeping, I'm not an advocate of owning the land underneath the fuel storage facility and salt storage facility. You're just opening yourself up for potential environmental contamination liability.
Especially with the wetlands bordering it.
Yeah.
You know, they might not even be allowed to do any of this. So what I think we should do is just, you know, just till we get more information.
So we need more information. What they're going to do.
Because
That's why I wanted to bring it up.
Let's just ask the question. Just ask them, hey, what do you expect us to transfer to, and how do you envision that conveyance taking place? Is it and I'm not sure we can even dispose of it. Even if it's surplus property, we can't dispose of it any other than fair market value. But maybe because it's in other municipalities and state, maybe we can. I don't know.
But there's a lot of unknowns on this one. The other thing that potentially throws a wrench into this is you're crossing railroad tracks. Because you're crossing the railroad tracks, you've got a whole administrative law judge procedure and petitioning process that needs to go on, similar to what we just completed on the demolition of the Lisbon Bridge. So there's a lot of questions on this, without a doubt.
okay.
Well, I mean, I guess I don't want to just say no, but I guess I want to know what they think the conditions are. And again, if it's due the 17th, I think we better ask the question quickly. And
What they were looking for from us was a commitment to sell the land. It's 6 acres it was when I left the meeting. I guess it's 12 now. But that's what they were looking for. So in the end, that's what they want. They don't need that right now for this.
Well, that's
I asked that question.
They own the whole thing.
Let's reset the last week. When we went over there, the meeting for Wednesday, we didn't know what it was about. We went over there, we sat down.
We talked to where?
Over to Norwood. We sat down, we talked with them, and at the end of that meeting last Wednesday, what they wanted was 6 acres transferred to them. That's what they were thinking about. And the meeting. Following day, get a call from Bill Dagenau at the county. We'd like 2 acres for the county spot. Okay, so now we're up to 8. The engineer is on vacation that does the CAD drawing, so I get the CAD drawing this morning. The CAD drawing shows 12 acres in there. Well, is that inclusive of the county's 2 or not? I don't know. What they did is they just drew the line consistent with their property line. Their thinking is that this should be transferred to them. I disagree with that, because at the end of the day, we don't want to be stuck with that lower landlocked piece of swamp that borders the railroad tracks.
You convey the whole thing?
No. Let's own the whole thing and run it to them.
And that's not what they're asking for, though. It sounds like they're asking for a letter of support that, hey, we will convey this land.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, then they better put in writing what they really want. Until we see it in writing, we don't know what they want. And we can't make a decision on what
Let's evaluate the value of that property, but just taking a look at this is just state and federal wetlands.
As you said, Jim, they want to put salt in there, and they want to put fuel tanks in there, and all of this with all of the requirements they're going to have to get from DEC. We don't own any of it.
I agree with you.
We don't own any of it. Okay? Give them the wetlands, give them the whole...
The cleanup problem you have?
Well, the problem is if something happens over there, you've got federal wetlands there, I don't want to be involved in it.
Well, I've been around here for 5 years and didn't know we own this piece of property, so... There's the value is less. I mean, it's not big enough for...
There's another 80 acres down on the hill down here, too, we own. It's all red cedar. Right off the side of the tracks.
There's some pieces of property, and this is a prime example, that are out there that we need to look at and say, hey, do we really need these things? If we don't, let's liquidate them, get them back on the tax rolls.
Well, it's the one thing as well as landlocked, there's really nothing to pay value to the public service, public things, or the other entities, then we're here to service them. And if they need it, give it to them. But give it all to them.
Yeah, that's my feeling, is get rid of the law. But, however, I would retain the railroad across that access road in case we ever had to get down and do some work on a railroad.
Actually, the railroad's under a separate thing. You could, because it's a railroad, you can basically legally trespass to get to it. So it's not a. But plus, the other thing you don't see is right on the chunk that isn't there. And that's the railroad. There's a dead end road that comes right up there. And
oh, okay. All right, check there. Yeah.
And we got the railroad right away. We don't want to get in there anyways.
You can go across anybody's property.
The federal.
And how come
New York and Ogdensburg is much better at this.
How come you did your bridge rehab? You had to walk all the way down the right way of the railroad to get to those sites.
I wasn't here at that.
We walked over just 3 miles that were half mile from there.
Well, we know federal preemption gives you a lot of I'm not sure
What's that? So I'm not totally convinced that's true. But anyway,
I'll get more information.
Yeah, I mean, my vote is divest yourself of the whole thing rather than a piece of it. But
we're looking at it right now. How many acres you got in that little square? 12?
They're looking for, that little square is 12, but my recommendation would be don't give them the 12. If we're looking to get out of it, give them the whole 39.
You see this right here?
Mm-hmm.
We don't know about it.
And that thing right there, the other thing that you don't see is it's also got 100-foot buffers when you approach it. So
that's what I'm saying. We want nothing to do with these people.
So I guess the recommendation, or my recommendation, I don't know what anyone else thinks, is that you divest yourself of the whole thing, and maybe that's, call the school district and say, hey, if we're going to convey it, we want to convey the whole thing. And
so?
Now, really, best case it'd be fair market value. Worst case it'd be like the equivalent of a municipality to municipality transfer.
Transaction stuff would be.
Listen, I don't mind giving them this because there's something else that we're looking at close by.
Yeah.
One hand worse than the other.
But I would assume you need full board approval.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even for the letter of support. Or
well, let them get a letter to us, Jim, exactly what they want to do. And in that letter, if they say that they need this acreage, then we can convene again.
Well, it sounds like we're pretty clear on the fact that we would prefer to be out of it entirely. So it sounds like the answer is, if you're looking for 6 acres, that's fine, but you get the whole 39-acre parcel.
Yeah, that's my goal.
And once they see that, they may just say, whoops.
Who knows? I wouldn't do it if I was there. They may not care. I don't think it has to do it.
Nope.
Wonderful.
There's some more cross-country trails out there with track team.
Yep.
So obviously, do you want to take that to the full board to discuss, or do you want to wait?
I don't think we're really at that position.
The problem is you don't have time. You're going to have to do something between now and, just do the 17th, but obviously you need it before then, 11 days.
Right.
But I would think they'd be able to give us an answer tomorrow whether or not they'd be interested in the 39 acres. Okay. And go from there.
Okay, well, we'll probably better get started here about 15 minutes later, so.
Well, we're still going to get a detailed letter on what they're going to use the land for.
Yes. Yeah. That's a question that's going to be.
I mean, you got 4 agencies here we're dealing with. So we want all 4 agencies agreeing this is what they want to do with the property. I don't want to see them get the property and put up something in competition with us either. I want it used for what they're going to use it for.
We could always handle that with EDP.
Well, I'm just saying.
That would be a concern. Can't say no.
Well, sure. I mean, you wouldn't want something.
Well, if you got a rail line,
The trail is bad to us.
But, you could easily handle that in a restrictive covenant in the lease. Saying, thou shalt not have any salt on the property. Thou shalt not, have any engagement with the rail on this parcel. But
Well, I think the rail only benefits us.
I wouldn't necessarily make that assumption. I mean, it could be a threat to us. It all depends on the pricing.
Well,
It's not clear cut.
right now, I don't think we've got enough information to take any action on it. So,
Sounds good.
that sound good, Jim?
Yeah, I just don't want to leave them hanging so they can't submit their grant applications, that's all. That's my only concern.
I'll ask them the question. I mean, that's all I can do. Again, not to throw stones here, but now if they wait till the last minute and invite us right before New Year's Eve to talk about this,
Well, like you said,
they're going to get action from the board and
their primary
turn around. I mean,
not by the wayside, so they're scrambling.
you see?